May you be so confident that you are humble. It is in my experience that true confidence comes from humility, and that it's actually arrogant to be insecure. And I speak from experience here. I have probably my biggest obstacle in life has been insecurity, feeling like I'm not enough, feeling like I have to overcompensate, feeling like I have to perform. But the more that I can observe this conditioning inside of me, the more that I see that it's actually arrogant to believe that I'm small, that I'm insecure, that I don't have any power. Because I notice that every time I do that, every time I become insecure, I collapse my attention, I collapse my consciousness back onto this little sense of me that cannot do this and is so afraid and all of these things. And I'm actually like squeezing off what naturally wants to happen. Now, it's really important that whenever this happens, you do not judge yourself. You accept this, but you see this as a pattern, something that you have been programmed with, that you picked up, but that isn't truly yours. Your true self is, I would even say, beyond the idea of confidence or insecurity. It is secured. In Dutch, there is a word for confidence, and it's called zelfverzekerd, which literally translates to self-insured or self-assured. Like you're insured of yourself, like it's a given. You cannot be without self. And this can be greatly liberating to realize this, because once you realize that your nature is confidence, then you can more easily allow these patterns to come up and to just investigate them, these patterns of insecurity that lack a humility, that think, these patterns think that they know that they are insecure, that they are shy or any of these things. And now there may be some relevance to it, like there's nothing wrong with it. You might be naturally a more shy person, but in a situation where someone's life is threatened, and normally you would be afraid to ask for direction. If your mother needs to go to the hospital, that shyness goes out of the window. So even that should already give you a sign like, okay, it's not absolutely true. It's just something that I believe in. And I've noticed within myself, but also within other people in society, that the most confident ones, they sort of can rely on their own not knowing. That in situations like my mind always tries to grasp onto something, I need to hold on to something like a perspective, an idea, but the more humble, confident beings can just stand naked. They're all right with having no particular perspective, not needing to defend themselves. They come from a space of humility, like, I don't really know, I'm open to anything, even to like me being wrong about whatever perspective I just shared. But there's so much power in just tapping into that frequency of humility. And please go along, do it with me right now. I always like to bring down these theories, these ideas, so it can actually be practical for you, that you can right now feel the sensation, the frequency, the state of being of humility, of actually acknowledging like, I don't know. There might be, your mind might be claiming so many things about your life. I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that. But they are all assumptions. If you have to bring them to court, the only thing you could prove is, I am, you are. And that you can focus, decide your state of being, your frequency. Only I am and your X you can truly prove. So let's start from square one. Let's start from that space, like, actually, I don't know anything. I don't know anything other than that I know that existence is. There is some kind of existence. This I know. But not necessarily existence as this, as a human, or existence as as that. I just know that I am. That is all that I can know for sure. This is to be humble, to actually acknowledge, okay, fuck. I have no clue. I have all these ideas about my life, but actually when push comes to shove, when I have to investigate them, it's almost silly or arrogant to say that you're so sure of these things. But this going back to square one and just, in a sense, burning everything to the ground, starting over again and checking in, okay, what do I truly know? I know right now that there is some kind of existence, like existence is. I am that I am, that I know. What else can I know for sure right now without being arrogant, without bringing concepts into the mix, but actually using your direct experience to see what is true? Well, we could say you have free will. You can focus where you wish to focus. And even though this focus might have been highly conditioned by society to pay attention to certain things, to get distracted, ultimately you have power over your free will. Even if there are forces at play that heavily influence it, they can never truly take away your free will. And this is pretty much it, I would say, at least to my current estimation. If you have anything else that you know for sure, please drop it down in the comment and just make sure you're speaking from direct experience. But even this already is a lot. Like, okay, I exist, I am, and I can focus. And now the question becomes, where do I want to focus? What do I want to pay attention to? Because apparently that which I pay attention to is that which will manifest. So which would be the most, and let's first tune into that frequency of humility, of like, okay, I don't know these things. These are the only things that I know, that there is existence, that there's life, there's creation, and that I get to focus, that I get to decide what frequency, what state of being I want to focus on, what configuration of energy. And there you have the whole IMX in a nutshell, backed up by humble confidence of actually only knowing that which is actually true, and then utilizing that to play the game, to focus on that which you want to be confident in, that which you want to be humble in a sense. So in my case, or in this video's case, we can focus on the frequency of, you could say, confidence/humility, and see if you can unify those two ideas to the point where they're pretty much one thing. Humility, not really knowing any specifics, being open to specifics, being able to share, but not taking that as the end-all be-all. And then from that humility, from that knowing, there naturally emerges a confidence, like, okay, I actually don't need to know. It's actually, this is all that I need to know. And then you don't become arrogant in terms of buying into all of these ideas. You are naturally humble, you are naturally confident in the natural way, the organic flow of the universe. So just to bring this home even more, make a choice right now. What do you want to be confident in? What is one thing in your life that you wish I had confidence in this? Just pick it, like a certain state of being. Maybe it's a dream you have. Maybe it's being able to share your voice or your passion, or just something you feel like you lack confidence in. Maybe in group settings or public speaking, YouTube videos, or even telling your partner how you feel. And let's bring some attention to that. Let's bring some awareness to that. And let's just first, before we do anything else, let's just accept that that is the case. All right, I feel insecure about sharing myself open and vulnerably with people. This definitely has for me been an obstacle, especially because I sometimes felt like, okay, I have a really strong opinion. I don't want to offend anyone, blah, 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 any of these things. And to just acknowledge that, okay, still that pattern, that conditioning of insecurity arises in this situation. Okay, let's just accept it. I've been programmed. I was too young to know what was going on. let me just accept that I feel insecure there. Innocently arrogant, we could say, in believing that that is really true, that I'm an insecure entity and that I do not dare to express myself fully in those situations. Even though, if like in a specific configuration of energy, like my mother would need to go to the hospital, all of that insecurity would be out of the way. I would have no problem expressing how I feel. And so this is just to question your mind, saying, yeah, I'm just like this. I'm an insecure person. Well, in this situation, you weren't. So apparently it's not completely true. Be humble in that sense. And many of our ideas that we're so sure about, that we believe in so much, are not bulletproof. They're just assumed, which they create that reality. But actually, if we investigate our life objectively, we see like, oh, actually there were many times where I wasn't insecure in that situation. So, as we just accept it for what it is, because as long as we resist it, it will persist. But now we can bring a different frequency to it. Now that we have accepted it, we can choose a new frequency. So which frequency, from the question I just asked you, what area of your life do you wish to bring more confidence to? More humility. And now focus on this frequency of confidence and humility. And see if you can become a little bit more familiar with it. Like, what does it feel like in my body, in my mind, in my heart, in my field to be more confident? What if I could publicly speak? What if I just tell my partner before my mind stops me, just, hey, I need to share something with you. I don't like the way you do that. Or something else. Just anything that you feel like fear might be blocking you from just freely expressing or being naturally confident. Bring that up and see it from a different angle. Approach it from a different space. And recognize that you always have this power. Instead of reacting to the old program out of fear, like when the insecurity comes up and then resisting the insecurity, reacting with more fear, you choose to come from a different space, which you always have, even if it's challenging. Even if you can only come from a little bit more lighter space and you feel a little bit less insecure, a little bit more relief, then great. You're on the right trajectory. You're becoming more and more free. You're shedding the layers that you picked up that were never truly yours to begin with. And you're starting to fly. You're starting to be more yourself. Instead of a programmed entity. I don't know. That's the only word that comes to mind right now, because it's the case. And I lovingly look back at my reality or at past versions of myself, and even right now to some extent, where there are still some unconscious patterns that are active that kept me in a very limited way of being. I didn't really have free will to choose a new state of being. But the more aware, the more awake we become, in a sense, the more responsibility we have, not in a heavy kind of sense, but in a powerful kind of sense. You have more ability to respond to things from your chosen state. And then you wield this with honor, like a king or a queen, having responsibility for an entire world, an entire empire. But instead of seeing that as something heavy, you take it on playfully. Like, let me just do my best to come from the truest space. This is what IMX is about, always doing your best to pay attention, to come from your truest, purest, wisest state in each moment. And that's the game. And that's it. Each moment, just do your best to come from the most loving, powerful space. And the more that you practice this, the more skillful you become at it. And then any old pattern or conditioning can come up, any conditioning, but you still choose. You still choose where you want to come from. Don't you want to choose where you want to come from? No matter the situation. Are you not tired of being a victim to external circumstances? While in truth, you are at the source of all of these circumstances. You create every single thing in your life. Not as this mind, but as this deeper awareness, consciousness. You're at the source of every experience. So you could never, ever be the victim. Never. It's impossible. You cannot be a victim to what you create yourself. think to leave it here for this video. You're the creator, my friend. You get to choose, you get to decide. Where do you want to come from? Yes, there's conditioning. Yes, there's old patterns. But you are not a victim to this. The more aware you become, the more responsible you are to deal with those in an honorable way. And this is so freeing. This is why you came here. This is the awakening. This is the rebirth. That's it, my friend. I feel like there's so much more to say on this, but I'll save it for another video. I will leave you now in your own recognition of what is actually true, in the humble confidence that you are at the source, that you are one with existence. There's no separating you from existence. And because you are existence, because there comes, in a sense, nothing comes after you, you are the end-all be-all, the alpha and the omega, the king or the queen. You get to decide. So choose right now. What state do you wish to bring to this day? What energy or what vibration? And be confident, be humble in knowing that you have choice and in choosing to come from that no matter what. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.